Culture Gaps. Culture Gaps. Culture Gaps. Culture Gaps. Culture Gaps.
Welcome to Culture Gaps, the podcast where we talk about famous movies that one or both of us has not seen. I'm Mike.
I'm Greg.
And I'm
And I was going to say,
Oh, the suspense is killing me. Who is it?
who's this?
Who's there?
it turns out I'm Ray.
Oh, shit. We got
Holy
Ray on the
shit.
podcast.
Ray Olson, Scarlett Witch's dad, is back on the podcast.
Different spelling.
Oh,
Again.
whatever. I don't know. How is it having famous daughters, Ray?
It sucks. I don't get to see any of that money. It's a bummer.
For the longest time, I thought Bob Saget was their dad. So, because it's Full House.
Yeah, I mean, there's only
that wasn't obvious.
There's only one of that. It only appears that there's one of them on that show, though.
Right.
Why?
And it turns out there's
The
three.
longest time, are we talking maybe like last year you just found out? Or like what's the time frame here?
Well, when he died recently, I realized that they weren't at his funeral because I watched it on a live stream.
Oh, wow.
They live streamed his funeral?
I'm amazed that
Yeah.
the Olsen twins didn't show up to that.
Interesting.
Are you?
Yeah, I thought they would.
Yeah, I thought they would.
Oh, well. So we're breaking the mold again.
Yeah, we got a guest on.
Breaking the
again.
format.
We've got Ray on again. And
Same guest
Pumped.
because it was so good.
Same guest. Yeah, because he's a good guest. And, again, we want to make him watch a movie he hasn't seen.
Is it trash? Or is it, in your opinion, a good movie?
In my opinion, this movie is not trash.
Oh, okay.
Unlike the last one we made you watch.
We just talked about this. This movie is in the top 100 movies of Greg's list.
Yeah, this is in my top 100 movies of all time. It's also in my top 50 and my top 10 and my top 3.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Highly
Ooh.
recommended then. All right.
Yeah. And this movie is called Swiss Army Man.
Boom.
I'm ashamed I haven't watched it up until this point. I remember
It's
distinctly.
a newer one.
Was it 2016-ish, something like that?
That sounds right.
It was,
Yeah, 2016.
Wow, the time passes
2016.
quickly.
Yeah, time has no meaning anymore. Because I distinctly remember watching the trailer.
Mhm.
Immediately, like, okay, that's going on the list. I'm going to watch that.
Mhm.
Like fart
Did the same.
propellant out of a dead body. Like who doesn't want to watch that movie? So, but like I said,
I'm saying.
like I said, I'm ashamed I haven't watched it up until this point. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I was too, and I watched it for the first time in the last couple months.
Mhm.
Right.
So I'm rewatching it again, I guess.
Yeah.
Really recently. But I also loved this movie.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm happy to give you one. Wait, did you say the last one was trash?
What? I don't know what you're talking
No.
about.
It just hit me. Last one was Warriors of Virtue. It got the highest rating of any movie so far that we've done.
Not
I'm
on
sure.
average.
10 out of 10.
Not on average.
No other movie's gotten a 10.
Yeah.
Is that on your blog? 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, according to Mike, it's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Stand by it.
So Ray,
This movie-
it sounds like you have a frame of reference for this movie already.
I do.
What do you know about it?
I mean, a little bit of a frame of reference, I guess, but
Yeah.
I like I said, I watched the trailer probably a few times when it came out. It looked visually and thematically pretty distinct from most movies. I think a lot of people would agree.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I probably read into it, who the directors were at the time. But just life happened; it just fell through the cracks. But I think I don't know if the Paul is it Dano or Dano? I actually don't even know what that.
I think
his
it's
name's
Dano.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Okay. Is Paul Thomas Anderson stuck on like a deserted island and he finds a body, or is he stuck out in the wilderness or something along those lines?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows if
I still don't.
if he's imagining this or it actually is happening. Is it mystical or just in his brain? And it looks like some kind of journey of discovery. That's about all I got for that. So,
And you know the body. You know who plays the
I
body.
know that body.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite wizard.
That's right. HP himself.
Besides Gandalf.
Yeah, I'd probably go Gandalf first. Yeah.
And Hermione.
I feel like there are a lot of wizards I would choose before Harry
there's
Potter.
There's a lot of wizards, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
I have seen this movie, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 times because I really love it. I'm excited to watch
your
it
top
again.
3.
This is legitimately in my top 3 favorite movies.
Wow. Okay. All right.
For
well,
sure.
then
Yeah.
I have to treat this with a little bit of reverence then.
Well,
you don't have
Where's
to.
the Virtue is in my top.
Oh,
Movies of all time.
Yeah. I don't care about that one though. So I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I mean, if you dislike it, Ray, I want you to come in hot and tell me why you hated it. But I think
will.
you will like it.
I will, and I kid Mike, of course, but I'm just going off of. I think Swiss Army Man is acclaimed. I actually don't know for a fact. Warriors of Virtue, I think, is probably not acclaimed. So, yeah,
No.
Agree to disagree.
agree. Okay, but yeah, if it's a steaming turd, I'll come in hot.
I'm excited to watch this one.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to watch it. Well, hopefully she watches it with me, with my wife.
Oh,
She's not seen it
she has not. Interesting.
and does not want to.
Oh, interesting. She
What
doesn't
are-
like farting boner corpses.
No. Hates all 3 of those things.
What are her
Trust.
objections? Farting boner corpses. My God.
I think it might win her over.
It seems
Possible.
the trailer made it seem kind of poignant. I mean, I could see how it could win someone over as long as they understand the farting is probably some allegory for something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, without getting too much into it, I will say this movie is like shockingly heartfelt and deep.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
way more than you would expect from this
From a
kind of
farting
movie.
boner corpse, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you recommended this movie to me, the thing that you said was, I both laughed and cried at a fart.
Oh, yeah. So that's actually a reference to a quote from the directors who go by Daniels because they're
the
both
Daniels.
named Daniel. Yeah.
Oh. That wasn't your actual review of it.
No, their mission statement that they say what they were trying to do with this movie was for the first fart to make you laugh and the last fart to make you cry. And I think they really genuinely succeeded that. I mean, I didn't literally cry at this movie, I don't think, but the last fart of this movie is kind of moving.
It's a moving fart. Yes.
Yeah. It is interesting to me how they can get you there, like starting with just like something so juvenile and overdone as a joke that they can then make that actually mean something to you by the end of the movie. I think that's a really amazing feat.
Yeah, if you can make farts fresh, I think that's an achievement.
Yep.
I can do that all day.
You make some fresh farts.
You just put like a dryer sheet over your butthole.
What's that smell? Ooh, that's fresh.
Oh, a fresh fart. Wow. Spring breeze scent.
Oh, man.
All right, so I'm excited to rewatch this movie because I could watch this movie forever, and I hope that Ray likes it.
I hope so too.
Me too.
The trailer has me had and has me optimistic. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Why don't we watch it?
Let's go do that right now. and we will be back shortly after we have watched Swiss Army Man.
Why is it named that? Oh,
What?
Never mind.
You've seen the movie. It's pretty clear.
Yeah. You know what? Never mind.
It's
This is my own
a
question.
Swiss man who's in the military. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Culture gaps.
Oh, boy.
Culture gaps.
Hey, remember when you put that cork in my butt?
How could I forget?
Does that count as sex?
Yep.
Oh, welcome back. This is part 2 of Swiss Army Man. We just watched it.
We just watched it. Just finished watching.
Greg and I already saw it, but Ray, our special guest, had not seen it. But now you have.
It's true.
I have.
So, Ray, what did you think?
I think that this film,
Film.
in my mind, was how can I say? How can I say?
I don't know where this is going.
Yeah. This could go either way.
It represents. It's the most existential and human condition representation I've ever seen on film, personally.
Wow.
Whoa.
I love it.
Yeah. It was I wasn't expecting it. It was well, obviously we'll get into it, but it was pretty striking, actually.
Yep. I agree. That's why this is one of my
All right.
favorite movies ever.
Great recording. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah,
That's
this
it,
was a
everyone.
great ep. Thanks so much to Ray for coming out.
Thanks, everybody.
We're just gonna make it easy for everyone. Cut it short. Go watch it yourself right now. Use this time wisely.
I don't even know where to begin.
Oh,
I mean, I guess we can just talk about, despite how strange
Yeah.
the premise is, you know, the character Manny, who's the corpse, it represents things that every single human being experiences, but is
Right.
ashamed of or afraid of or feels
Right.
guilty about. But also just the very fact that he is dead, I think is, you know, very much part of this movie. Like, we as human beings are all terrified of our own mortality, obviously, but it's something
Right.
everybody experiences. And the fact that
Yep.
Manny is like a corpse means that he is this very confrontational figure just out of the gate. Like, it's something that every person is kind of going to be uncomfortable seeing because corpses make us uncomfortable. I think it's really incredible that this movie manages to take us on a journey with Hank into accepting all these parts of himself that he once felt shame about through the character of Manny. It's like sort of a story of self-acceptance almost.
yeah. You don't normally see this out of zombie survival movies, but this one brought it.
right. I mean, I think it can be boiled down to, I mean, as you say, because he's starts off as a corpse, right? So he's completed his human condition, right?
Mhm.
The end of the human condition of existence is death,
Right.
But he gets a little bit of it becomes like this deconstruction where he's kind of reborn as like a kind of a child or a clean slate, and he's questioning all of these societal norms or societal things. And was it Hank is trying to explain what farts are and explain, we don't talk about that. People don't talk about those
Right,
things,
right.
or don't be confrontational because what if they laugh at you?
Yeah.
And all the while, Manny's like, that's dumb. Like literally saying that's stupid, and just like being so pure and innocent, and it's funny. That's why it works, right? Because what he's saying makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
Like, it is dumb, it is stupid, and you're like, yeah, you're totally on Manny's side. But then when Hank or Manny go do the thing that's going to cause that fear, that society, that embarrassment or whatever, you're like, oh shit, that's right. That's why that exists.
Right.
that is why it's maybe not so dumb. So it plays both sides of that really well, I thought.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also, I mean, I'm jumping way ahead here, but I think the ending of the movie as well really highlights that dichotomy where on the one hand you do agree with Manny that it's dumb to be ashamed of your farts or to lie about them, and we shouldn't be afraid of all these very human things. But then by the end of the movie, when everyone from the real world is now kind of seeing Hank's, forest world exposed, everything
that was like 5 feet away from her
right,
house.
yeah, and it becomes
yeah.
repainted in this light of like suddenly you remember the shame. Like when you're in those moments with Hank and Manny, and they're like falling in love, and they're dancing together and watching Jurassic Park together. It seems so sweet. And then by the end of the movie, when you see, like this woman that Hank has been sort of stalking almost, and like he's in her backyard, and her seeing him creating these facsimiles of her life, she's terrified by it, and it reframes it in your mind too as the audience, like, wow, this thing that I was really on board for most of the movie suddenly does seem a little serial killer-ish.
Right. Oh, shit. Hank's pretty fucked up. You'd probably say it away from him, Sarah. Yeah. Yeah, no. Which, again, that's the human condition, right? Like, people are beautiful, people are amazing, but people are also ugly inside and out, unfortunately, and evil, right? Quote unquote evil. Just, people have problems, right? So it's the full gamut in this movie, which was amazing. And to the real amazing part is just to encapsulate that all into like a fart joke.
Yes.
Like it's like the what's that classic joke?
The Aristocrats.
Yeah, the Aristocrats. This was like the movie version of the Aristocrats.
Yeah. Just like cramming in every disgusting thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Mike, what were your thoughts?
Oh, I didn't see any of that in this movie, actually. No, I'm just kidding. It's hard to follow up what you guys just said about it. One perspective that I'll add to it, because I totally agree with both of you. You kind of touched on it, Ray, when you said he's a clean slate, almost like just a child. Coming from the perspective of a parent now, I thought like this is like normally this is putting a lens over things you normally don't talk about. But as a parent, you kind of do because you're teaching your kids all this stuff. So it's kind of like talking to a child and teaching them about things that you wouldn't normally have to explain that are just so ordinary.
It's like, and he's lying too, like sort of. He's like, normally I think you may agree, like when you're trying to teach your kids something, you're not going to tell them everything, right? You tell them some simplistic answer, and that's dangerous, but you might not necessarily go into why. But when he's telling Manny these things, he's telling them to him so he can avoid his own past, his own embarrassment. He's not doing it from like this kind of nurturing, trying to protect him, I think. Or at least that's how I took it. And which was amazing. And I mean, it unfolds from there. Obviously they turn a corner, but it was that, I think that was actually my favorite part of the movie, besides the toilet humor, was just like their little, as you said, dichotomy, Greg. He's this simple little thing, and Hank is trying to teach him about the world, and it goes awry. Yeah. I was looking up trivia for this, and they had said that his name, Hank Thompson, aka Tom Hanks, aka Castaway, fucking brilliant. So, but the entire time I'm thinking of, especially the opening of the movie, that whatever that thing was that was in the ocean, that milk bottle or whatever.
Yep.
I thought immediately of Wilson at the end of Castaway, and I was like, I wonder how much this is going to be like that movie, and it was in a lot of ways, which I appreciated.
You seen Castaway, Greg?
Yeah.
That just seems like one you'd avoid.
I saw it when it came out.
Tom Hanks with volleyball on an island doesn't seem like your cup of tea.
So Ray, so we talked a lot about how we feel about this movie, and you touched on this a little bit at the very start. But how did this compare to your expectations going in for what the movie was going to be?
It surprisingly was kind of spot on.
Oh,
I wasn't sure of like the literal pieces of it. Like, is he on an island or is he dreaming, or
right.
is he dead himself?
Are we?
Look at those kind of tropes.
Are you sure now?
Hey,
I don't.
we're all dead.
I
Man.
don't know.
We're all dead.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
But I just, I thought it was going to be a journey of self-discovery, and it was, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it definitely met my expectations.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned that you knew that this movie was acclaimed in some way, so you knew that it wasn't just going to be, farting boner corpse humor or anything like that. It was going to be something deeper, so you were expecting that.
Yeah, it's got a little Oscar bait quality to it. You can tell when the trailer came out.
Yeah,
it's going to be more than just the humor.
Boy,
Which, don't get me wrong, for whoever's listening, you had me at boner, right? You had me at fart jokes.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Although what's funny is I was watching an interview with the directors of this movie, the Daniels, and they were talking about how they hate fart jokes, and that's part of why they wanted to make this movie.
Right.
Like, we're the right people to make the fart joke movie because we're the type of people who don't want to go for the lazy fart joke.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, anything that I'm going to watch, or at least attempt to watch, I hope it has something creative, some creative spin on it. Because there's nothing new under the sun, right? Like,
Yeah.
Fart joke. Fart joke's probably the first joke ever
Right.
ever told in humanity, right? They've been around for a while. So what's the fresh fart joke, fresh spin on it?
Right. And I think the joke in this movie is almost that it is not a joke by the end.
Right.
Like, there's a scene towards the end where Manny is sort of giving a monologue, and it's like a voiceover about him. He's like, I started to think, if my best friend hides his farts from me, what else is he hiding from me?
Hiding, right? Yeah.
And it's set to this montage of Paul Dano farting in slow motion.
Yeah, slow motion. Yeah, his pants flapping.
His pants rippling with the farts and everything.
Yeah,
and it's so funny, but it's played as the most sincere, heartfelt moment. And it does get to the very heart of what this movie is about, which is like, how does like the shame and repression that we deal with on an internal basis,
how does it affect our lives?
and how does it prevent us from connecting with others? Like, that's the big struggle Paul Dano has, is like just like connecting with other human beings, because he feels so much shame about himself on every level, for various reasons. Like his father sounds like he's not like abusive, which I kind of appreciated. His father just sounded like
he just browbeats him.
He's just repressed. He just is like, let's not talk about anything. Like, let's not actually like help you or support you. Let's just bury it all and pretend everything's fine. Or, his mother's weird insertion into his sexuality. So he just like can't even masturbate anymore. Which,
I have a quote for that.
Me too.
What does he say? Shit.
But what?
It's basically like, the next time I masturbate, I'm going to think of your mom or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, when I masturbate, I'm going to think about your mom. Then you won't be weird. Which is such a sweet, like...
Because he previously told them, like, well, what's weird? It's what did he say? Like, when you're the only one who does a thing or something like that.
Exactly.
So his simplistic reasoning is, okay, now there's two of us and we won't be weird anymore.
Yeah, if we both think about your mom while masturbating, it's normal, so it's not weird anymore.
Right.
It's kind of sweet, the weird logic.
It is.
The childlike logic that Manny has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
It's funny, I also read that Daniels said that they rewrote this movie like dozens and dozens of times, but once they cast Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe in the roles, they rewrote it again to tailor the roles to the characters. And what they said about Daniel Radcliffe was that when they met him, he had this sort of like wide-eyed sense of wonder and curiosity about the world. And so they wrote the character to be much more in line with that. And so I'm just like, oh, that's very sweet, because that's what I think really works about Manny as a character, is that he's so childlike and and optimistic about everything and has this kind of curiosity and wonder about everything he's learning that's like
Right.
very sweet and endearing.
Right. He almost becomes unstoppable at that point. You know, he's got all these magic powers. You can jam a crutch or
Yeah,
something,
it was a
whatever that
crutch.
was. Yeah, down his throat as a grappling hook, shoots up,
Yep.
gets him out of the pit. You know, so not only physically can he do basically whatever he wants, he has like this indomitable will. He's not afraid of anything. And so I don't know, you get pumped up. You're like, oh, okay, sweet. Nothing's going to stop this guy.
Yeah. You're rooting for him.
That's right.
And so I guess this is a good segue to talk about Daniel Radcliffe in general, because he fucking goes for it in this movie. I think this might be his best performance.
He said it is his favorite movie that he's ever done.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite movie he's ever done. It's just like, it's a very physical performance, you know, where he's, depending on the scene, like he might only be able to move his face or maybe only parts of his face. But
yeah, I was trying to, I was watching closely each scene because I'm sure you guys know that they made that dummy.
Yep.
And he toured around, like did the press tour with the dummy, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But I guess he insisted on being in as many scenes as possible, barring any kind of serious injury. And so I was trying to like pick apart the scenes where it was and wasn't him. And especially like that first scene where he discovers like he can just spit up water.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell whether or not that was him or the dummy.
Yeah, you want to know? I actually know how they did that. I watched an interview.
Yeah, how'd they do that?
So Daniel Kwan is the one who has the VFX background.
VFX,
and he talked about how they did that scene. He said they did it exactly like The Exorcist, which is where they they made basically a fake version of the interior of Daniel Radcliffe's mouth. And there's like, they basically put that into Daniel Radcliffe's mouth. And then there's a hose that's shooting water, and the hose like goes down Daniel Radcliffe's neck. And then they just CG'd out the hose in post-production.
Okay.
So it looks like it's coming out of his mouth, but it's actually like a mouthpiece that he's holding in his mouth.
A prosthetic, and then they just kind of rotoscope out. Okay.
It's like a fake mouth that he's wearing over his real mouth.
It for such a shoestring budget, it's really effective. They did a phenomenal job.
This movie, I mean, it doesn't look low budget at all. I mean, it looks beautiful.
There's no, I was expecting a little like uncanny valley in a lot of situations. I don't recall ever seeing anything. There might have been a couple instances where, okay, that's definitely a dummy. Like the legs are kind of flopping around, but it didn't take me out of it. It's done in like a pseudo stylistic manner, I guess. But it totally works. It's a pretty amazing movie.
I feel like part of the low budget aspect might be because it only took 22 days to film, and it only has a cast of like how many people? Like 6 people?
Yeah, it's true. But I think part of that is that they were intentionally writing a movie that could be shot on a low budget because this was their first feature. Yeah. This movie cost $3 million, which in the grand scheme of things is really not much.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing. I got that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, what was the budget for Warriors of Virtue again? 30 million? 36 million?
Yeah, that was 30 something. That was like literally 10 times the budget of this movie. That is bonkers to think about. If you compare these two movies, oh boy. One of them looks a lot better than the other.
Warriors.
Right, of course.
Right.
Yeah, that undercranking is just beautiful.
Chef's kiss. Yeah.
But I guess that gets into something that I really love about this movie as well, which is sort of a stylistic thing that you touched on, Ray, which is that everything in this movie feels kind of handmade or like DIY in some way. Like in the opening shot that you referenced, Ray, it's like these adorable little boats made out of garbage. And like, you know, they made like Hank manages to make all these incredible, like a bus out of like sticks and trash that he found. And he puts on like a puppet show or whatever.
Yeah, it's all found items. and they probably literally found all those items when
Yeah.
when they were going out into the woods. They're like, all right, everyone got their tetanus shots because we're going to use whatever's here.
Just gather any trash that's in the woods.
Right.
We'll do a cleanup, and that'll be our prop department.
Right.
But I thought even the music kind of has that quality to it as well. And I think the
Yes.
music is something we need to talk about because
Yeah,
it
please.
is like
Absolutely.
the MVP of this movie.
When as soon as they started kicking off with the music, I immediately thought like, okay, did they have the actors just kind of hum some bars or do some a cappella noises and then build the score off of that? Or because it almost sounded like the voices of the actors themselves were in the music itself. It was crazy organic.
So I don't know if did you read anything about it or?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So the way they did it, so they reached out to these two guys from Manchester Orchestra, if either of you know that band, but they reached out to these two guys and said, like, we have this movie, it's insane, we would love for you to write some music for it. And these guys were so excited, these two guys, they just like wrote a bunch of stuff right then and there. And the sort of rule that the directors gave them at a certain point was like, it has to be all like voices or you like hitting your body or just like drumming on like trash or wood or whatever. Like it has to be stuff that like sounds you could make in the woods in a survival context. Because they wanted it to be like you're in the woods, you have songs stuck in your head and you're just singing to yourself kind of deal. But these guys created like 4 or 5 songs before they even started shooting. And so they were able to play those songs on set essentially while the actors were acting.
That's why it
so
fits so
the
well.
actors are sort of singing along a little bit. And then, later in post-production, they do sample the actors and put them into the songs as well.
Sure. It created this interesting kind of feedback loop of art imitating art instead of life imitating art.
Yeah.
Or art imitating life. It was striking. Like from the first scene where he's like trying to hang himself, it was like, wow, this is actually and it's minimalistic too, right? But it just like I said, it was striking. I really enjoyed that part.
I call that the opening musical number. This is like your favorite musical, Greg.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is almost a musical. I mean, the most they ever sing along though is just like ba 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 ba. So it's like it's pretty minimal in terms of musicals.
There's that
part of why I liked it.
I didn't even realize it was happening until the very end. The super somber, emotional cover of Cotton Eye Joe. That I didn't even catch on to it until the very end. It's like Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd be married. I've never once listened to the lyrics of Cotton Eye Joe, but they managed to get me to feel something for that.
Right. Well, I saw an interview where they said that they included that song because it's one of their least favorite songs of all time, and they're like, if you got stranded in the woods, of course the songs that would be stuck in your head would be the ones you hate.
Hank literally says that. What does it say about Jurassic Park though? When they started playing that, I was laughing my ass off.
I know.
And then the callback later to he's trying to get him Manny to remember the girl's name, and he's like Laura Dern. You don't know Jurassic Park. You don't know shit.
Yeah, that's a great line. I had some great quotes.
What you got?
One of them I thought was really funny was after Hank and Manny have been talking about porn and sex for a while. Manny says, "Girls must be so nice if they let guys do all those things to them."
They sure are.
I also have that written down. I thought that was amazing. That was before the internet. Every girl was a lot more special. That was the other line.
Yeah, I wrote that one too. Oh my God.
So one thing I read was about this movie was when it premiered at Sundance, a lot of people walked out.
I wrote that too.
Pretty early on. And I also have met a number of people who are pretty hesitant to watch this movie. But I feel like this movie is kind of aimed at the exact type of person who would walk out of it. You know what I mean? Like the person who would walk out of this movie is Hank. Is the person who's like, I'm uncomfortable looking at these things. I don't want to watch a movie. I don't want to hang out with a guy who's just like a corpse who's farting and gets boners and barfs water into my mouth. Like all this crazy stuff. But then sort of the journey of the movie is that you sort of come to learn and accept this idea that like everybody has all of these things. Like everything that Manny does that we say is gross is stuff that human beings do on a daily basis. Like, you know, fart, get a boner, die. Like those are the daily occurrences for the human race.
Everybody poops, Greg.
Yeah, exactly.
I die every
Write that on the Bible.
right. Actually, that was hilarious. Which, by the way, what did he write it with? Because it was mysteriously brown.
It was brown. It looked like poo.
Yeah.
Which, again, is one of those things that, like, when they show you at the end of the movie through the lens of, like, the police officers rummaging through everything, you're like, yeah, that's pretty insane to see, like, everybody poops written in poop on a Bible. Like, yeah, that's some deranged shit.
Right. It becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy for the people who you were saying this movie's aimed at, and those people who literally walked out of that movie, walked out of this movie when it was it Cannes or well,
I thought it was Sundance.
Sundance, okay,
yeah.
So you know they are not going to get the message of this movie, which is like everyone poops, everyone farts, everyone dies. You know, as you're saying, you can find some acceptance and camaraderie with everybody else in this world. But nope, they don't get it. They left.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're not willing to hear it, I guess, you know, too bad for you.
What do you think? And I didn't look this up, and there probably isn't really an answer, but what do you think Hank said to Manny at the end, right before he went out into the ocean? He whispered in his ear.
I feel like what I thought was like, you know, like our poop will mix together again or something like that. You know? My poop will meet your poop.
He said, you know who else was in Jurassic Park? Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, most likely.
I figured he'd just actually explain Netflix to him, but
he did. He already did.
He did, yeah. It's what you watch when you're staying home and you're comfortable with someone.
Yep.
One funny piece of trivia that I read was that the producers of this movie tried to get brand sponsoring from a lot of different companies, and everybody said no because of the premise of the movie, with one exception. And the exception was Hostess, because apparently after Zombieland, they got a huge boost in Twinkie sales. So now they'll agree to any product placement in anything that they're ever offered. They apparently won't turn anything down because Zombieland was so lucrative for them.
Wow. I wonder if they got a boost after Ghostbusters in the 80s.
I'm sure that they did.
Some big brains over there at Hostess.
Yeah. Just say yes.
Right. We got this snuff film, and they want to use a Twinkie. Just do it. Just
sounds great.
Yes.
We've yet to tap into the snuff film market.
I also read that the cast and crew contributed the actual farts in this movie, or some of them at least.
Yep.
Which is hilarious. With the exception of Daniel Radcliffe, he claims he did not contribute a fart.
I know. What a bummer.
It's bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, how could you not contribute at least one?
You got to immortalize at least one fart before you die.
At least one fart.
Right.
One last piece of trivia I had that I thought was really funny is apparently on one day of shooting, someone in the crew snuck Bigfoot into the background of a scene. and only told one of the directors, but there's someone in like a Sasquatch costume hiding in the background of one of the scenes.
I read
I
that
didn't
and
catch it.
searched for it, and I could not find him.
Did you look for
I
it?
was looking for so long trying to find him. It's all I cared about.
Yeah. I think it's too well hidden. You probably wouldn't
Yeah.
know unless you were
Yeah.
involved in the production.
They gave like a timestamp, and I still couldn't find it.
Wow. My boy was looking.
I did some research, still couldn't find it. I should have looked up a screenshot. Someone probably pointed it out.
I don't know if anyone's found it, to be honest.
Wow. I'm going back to looking. if I can be the first person, it's happening.
So, Ray, on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate this movie?
Okay, so this is gonna be hard for me. The spirit of the movie, like the messaging, the execution, fantastic. I actually personally thought it fell apart a little bit kind of towards the end. It felt compressed, I guess, when he kind of shows up in the yard and then everything just kind of happens really quickly. It felt compressed to me, but so there's a little bit of a ding on that in my rating, I guess. But I'd probably give
That's
this
fair.
like a it's like an 8 or a 9. Pretty high. Maybe a 9. A 9.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a high rating. Good rating. Mike, what about you?
I also think this movie is pretty excellently executed. However, my only issue is, apart from, I can't make it my favorite movie because I don't feel shame, so I don't relate with a lot of things in this movie. So all of these concepts of him not connecting with people because of them is foreign to me because I
Not
connect with people
relatable.
because of these things. You know what I mean?
Did you just admit that you're a sociopath on your
Yeah.
podcast? Okay, cool.
No, I think I'm saying that I'm more open about these
know.
things than average people. But I think I've already admitted that.
How genuine is that, Mike, what you just said?
Very, very genuine. No, I actually, because
How real are you being?
very real. When you were talking about it, I was feeling like, I didn't connect with this emotionally like that. Like, it's not experiences I actually feel. I
Wow.
feel like this was all open in my family and my friends my whole life.
Wow.
So I never had that shame
Crazy.
around these things. It was more stuff, this is stuff I already joked about and connected with people on. And a lot of my connections were around it. And that's what I saw in this movie. Like, these are the things I connected with people on. I don't know.
Wow.
But I still give it a 9.
Wow. That's a high rating for you.
Yeah. I mean, I understand other people feel those things.
Yeah, that's wild. So you basically you didn't even need this movie, huh?
No.
You already went on that journey.
Yeah, I
that
didn't.
Hank goes on.
I never needed that journey, I don't think. Fortunately. But
Yeah. That's wild.
my empathy gave this like a higher rating because I feel like I understand people who feel this way. But
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
He's been in a tent in my backyard for 30 years.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
he's done the journey, right?
I'm out
Yeah,
there.
Mike's been doing it.
Right.
Mike's been smearing shit on Bibles since he was 12.
That is accurate.
Well, for me, this was extremely relatable as a child of like a waspy repressed family, lots of Christian guilt and whatnot. Super relatable. I love this movie, but I actually agree with Ray that I think there are some third act problems to this movie, and I think pacing wise,
Yeah.
it just suffers a little bit. In my mind, starting at the sort of bear attack scene, but ultimately, I think that this is such a good movie for so many reasons that I'm not willing to dock it that many points for the third act problems. So I also gave this a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Wow.
Is this,
We all agreed.
Is this the first time on your podcast that you guys have agreed?
No.
I think we both gave A League of Their Own a 9 out of 10. Right?
Okay.
I feel like we've agreed on a lot of them.
We've agreed on a lot of them, but I don't know if we've given them the same score.
Yeah, that's because we've been rating on a different scale. I didn't know there was 10 numbers at first.
Yeah, you couldn't count past 7 at first.
On a scale of 7 to 9, how would you rate this?
We both just like to interview a lot too. I'm pretty sure we both rated that highly. So
That's true. I think you gave it a higher rating than I did, though.
I may have. That's because I'm real into vampires right now.
Because I thought it was too nihilistic, and you thought that it was nihilistic for a purpose. And I actually think you're right. The more I thought about it, I'm like, oh, Mike was right about that movie.
Wow.
Yeah. But we talked about how our opinions were probably going to change with time. So
Especially for that one.
yeah,
I'll be honest. This movie, and I've been really quiet on this episode because you guys have kind of.
I know we dominated the conversation.
You dominated,
Sorry
but
about
also
that.
it was interesting hearing your perspective because I missed a lot of stuff, even though this is the second time I've seen it. And I feel like I could keep watching this movie and pick up on new things that maybe we haven't even talked about because there's so many little hidden things in there. But
Yeah, this was like my 3rd or 4th time watching it, and I will say it is very rewarding on rewatch.
yeah,
I mean, even just like putting on the subtitles and seeing the lyrics to some of the songs that play, like during the montage scene, there's like all these lyrics that are just like where they're singing the word montage.
Montage, yeah.
Yeah, they're
I
like
noticed
all
that,
we ever
yeah.
needed was a
Is
montage.
Yeah, right. They even have, there's a line in there about everything everywhere matters to me.
Yeah,
which is
everything
interesting.
everywhere matters to everyone, or
Right.
something like that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I thought that was interesting too, like a little foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Mike,
yeah.
next week we're going to be talking about a movie you haven't seen, but which I have, and I know Ray has too.
Really?
And I know probably everybody who's ever listened to this podcast probably has also seen as well.
So only I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you're the only person on earth who hasn't seen this movie.
So some
which
asshole's
is-
been hiding this movie from me.
Yeah, this is why we got to do this movie now. Now that we wrapped up Indiana Jones, we're going to get into the real juicy shit.
I expect the Goonies.
It is not the Goonies, though that's coming up soon. It is The Big Lebowski.
Oh my god. Yeah, I purposefully didn't watch that movie, Greg.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
My anticipation.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I go watch that time travel movie instead?
No. You got to watch The Big Lebowski. It's a great movie. I feel like you're going to go into it predisposed to hate it, and it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's my prediction for you, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see. I'll go into it open.
All right, yeah. Keep an open mind. Keep think of Indiana Jones. You thought you were gonna hate it, and you thought it was decent.
And now I'm the biggest Indiana Jones fan in the world,
It's true.
like ever.
Yeah,
So maybe Big Lebowski.
maybe. I mean, you do like some Coen Brothers movies.
True.
How do you feel about White Russians?
Like the drink?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what it is.
Okay. All right. I won't spoil it for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, join us on the next episode when Mike watches The Big Lebowski for the first time and maybe hates it. We'll see.
Wow. You can't just say everything that comes into your head. That's bad talking.
That's bad talking.
It's bad talking.
Culture Gap.